4-hour newsroom. 5 families have sued SoCal Edison, claiming a fire in Laguna Niguel that damaged or destroyed 31 homes could have been prevented. SoCal Edison so far has declined to comment, and official cause has not been given. Finland and Sweden have applied for membership in NATO, but Turkey says, not going to let them join. Earlier this week, Turkey accused Finland and Sweden of harboring people the country views as terrorists. The expansion would bring NATO closer to Russia's borders because Finland shares an 800-mile-long border with Russia. 5:35, we'll talk with ABC's Karen Travers. Late yesterday, you might have heard the White House announce that the president had invoked the DPA, the Defense Production Act, to speed production of infant formula and authorize flights to import supplies from overseas. How quickly can they get done, and what all does it mean? We'll find out when we talk with her in just a couple of minutes. But right now, let's talk pedestrian deaths. The Governor's Highway Safety Association's new report is out. Let's get an update on it from ABC's Jim Ryan. Hi, Jim. Good morning.
Good morning, Ken. Yeah, this report does show a dramatic and fairly consistent increase over the past couple of years in the number of pedestrian fatalities, people being struck while they're either on foot or on scooters or skateboards, whatever it might be, and they're being struck and killed at a fairly dramatic rate, except California. Interesting. Yeah, last year, 2020 is really not a fair comparison because the pandemic threw the numbers way off. Okay, well, let's look at 2019 then. Across California in 2019, 1,020 people were killed as pedestrians. The preliminary number for 2021 is down to 958. Still a lot of people, but that's a fairly dramatic increase, like a 62% increase from one year to the next. And 2020 to 2021 also showed a dramatic decrease there in California. So Los Angeles proper and most of the other big cities have seen an increase, but California as a whole has seen a fairly dramatic decrease.
I wonder if that's just because we don't drive. I mean, we do drive. Californians love to drive. You don't see a ton of people out walking.
That could be part of it. And what's more, it's a freeway system now. You don't have as many people struck on freeways because you don't have people walking alongside freeways. They've got a broken down car. They're a first responder who's there on a crash or a construction worker. So tragically, those lives are lost, but you don't have generally people walking along freeways, and that's what so much of the traffic around California, specifically the city, is all about. So, and most of the pedestrian fatalities are happening on either side streets or feeder highways, if you will, state highways, or those that lead into and out of communities have a fairly high speed limit, but they don't have many crosswalks, they don't have many sidewalks. There's just a lot of opportunities to be struck and killed.
Okay, let's talk about the ages of the people overall in this survey who have been killed.
Yeah, it was a doubling of the number of people 15 and under, young teenagers or kids who were being struck and killed. Doubling of that number between 2019 and 2021. Now, why is that? It's really not clear, and I think the Governor's Highway Safety Association is still looking at that to see what's happening there. It doesn't appear to be some anomaly in the numbers. It's just that more young people are being struck and killed, and certainly that's something that people will be looking at. The GHSA advocates for such things as more sidewalks. They also advocate for stronger enforcement on the highway speed-related enforcement. They also advocate for things that are a little more controversial, like traffic cameras or red light cameras. They say those things, as controversial as they are, in many cases save lives.
Okay, so when it comes to the kids, basically under 15, I'm wondering if there's a common denominator of the cell phone. Because I know that a lot of times if you walk near, let's say, a school, or, if you're driving near a school and the kids are coming out of school, most all of them are on their phones and they're walking and whatever, and they're kind of not paying attention to the crosswalks and things like that. They're just kind of going for it. They're out of school, they're not thinking, they're excited to be out, they're excited to finally get their phones out, that kind of thing. And I'm just wondering, their heads are down. Their heads are down, they're not paying attention. Is this part of the reason why they're getting hit so frequently?
Well, certainly, yeah. Distracted walking. We've known about that for some time. I remember covering a fatality involving a teenager. He had earbuds in, was walking along, and he was struck and killed by a train walking along the tracks. But yeah, you're right. Combine distracted walking with distracted driving, then you've got a recipe for an increase in these fatality numbers. So Yeah, that's being cited as at least a factor in many of these crashes, Jim.
All right, that's what I was afraid of.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Jim. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Jim.
See you later. That's ABC's Jim Ryan. And you know what? I don't want to come down on the kids because who has been somebody who has been on her phone walking and had her husband go, "Hey, you about got hit by that car, dummy." That'd be me. So my point is, I get how easy it is to do it. And unfortunately, some of these kids don't have their husband walking along with them to, smack them and say, "Hey, don't look at your phone. You about got hit by a car." They're just kids. And they're not, hey, we were all there, right? All right, did you see this story about some of the CBP, the Customs Border Protection seizures in LA? Things trying to be, brought across the border. So the CBP's LA office says it's seeing a big increase in what it looks like contraband coming in by air, sea, and ground shipments of some very odd things. So the office issued 2,695 emergency action notifications, and these are items that are undeclared or labeled as something different. And they say the illegal importation of plants and animal products, what they fear is it could introduce foreign pests and diseases into the U.S. in the agriculture industry. So they are trying to keep these things out. But the unprecedented numbers of these seizures that they got, these seizures are up 73% in these prohibited animal products. And they say this just proves the critical role of CBP's agriculture specialists. Now here's what they got. May 4th, there was a giant shipment of live centipedes. April 27th, big old shipment of dried sea cucumbers. May 3rd, big shipment of plants for propagation. And May 5th, there were ruminant noodle swine sausages. Now the reason that the sausages are a problem is because the agency says if products could be infected with the African swine fever, and that could then spread to the U.S. So the swine sausages, the plants were destroyed, the live centipedes and dried cucumbers were handed over to the U.S. Department of Fish and Wildlife. I don't know what happened to them after that. All right, when we come back, we're going to talk with ABC's Karen Travers and get into more about the president's announcement to invoke the DPA to speed up the production of the infant formula and also the authorization of flights to import supplies from overseas. That's coming up in just a moment. Right now, let's get a look at your drive on the 91.
It's getting busy for you as you make your way westbound coming out of the Riverside area. That will be a slow-going drive for you from before La Sierra, almost as far back as Tyler. Heavy stretches of slowing for you continuing toward the 241 toll road, and also 91 west before Green River. Getting reports of an earlier wreck that's been cleared to the southern divider. Pretty much was not called in until it was already there. So a bit of a looky-loo delay for the drive. Got major problems for you through the Riverside area. On the northbound side of the 215 at Columbia, all northbound lanes are shut down due to a wreck. You're being taken off at Columbia heading northbound on the 215. That's going to be a rough go for your drive. Heavy stretches now passing the March Air Reserve Base from as far back as Harley Knox. KFI in the Sky helps get you there faster. I'm Nick O'Keefe.
Ladies and gentlemen, Top Chef Fabio Viviani has arrived. And now, the top 7 reasons to visit the marketplace of Morongo. Number 7.
Prime Cuts is open. Steakhouse meats and Brazilian churrasco.
Number 6.
Pescado is open. Try the seafood tower and oysters on the half.
Number 5.
Taquiru is open.
Number 4.
Pork and waffles is open. The best barbecue this side of the Mississippi.
Number 3.
Mercado Central is open. It's unrivaled, innovative Italian fare.
Number 2.
Sweet Things is open. Sweet treats for the biggest sweet teeth.
And the number 1 reason to go to the marketplace at Morongo.
The marketplace is open. It's an elevated all-you-can-eat casino dining experience you've got to try today. The marketplace is open.
Morongo Casino Resort and Spa. Morongo. Good times.
SoCal weather from KFI. Well, it looks like it's going to be warm today, but cooler than it was yesterday. And then starting tomorrow and into the weekend, actually, we've got a cooling trend. Highs are just going to be in the 60s and the 70s. And I just found out Nick O'Keefe is going to the LA County Fair tomorrow, too. So if you want to say hi to me and to Nick tomorrow, we're going right after the shows So hit me up on Twitter this morning, JJLKFI. Let me know if you're going to the fair too, and we'll try and see if we can't meet up somewhere and say hi. We lead local, live from the KFI 24-hour newsroom. I'm Jennifer Jones-Lee.
Hey, it's Dean Sharp. The Americans with Disabilities Act, or ADA, guarantees equal access to the disabled as a constitutional right. The problem is, even though it's been the law of the land since 1990, most brick-and-mortar businesses and commercial properties and multi-unit dwellings are still not in compliance. Your property or place of business without a CASP certification is a lawsuit waiting to happen. And if you think, it's not a big deal, you should know that California leads the country in ADA lawsuits. So what do? You call ARCOR. ARCOR will identify your ADA deficiencies and show you the path to the certification you need to minimize your exposure. One ADA lawsuit can break you. Get out in front of liability with ADA certification from ARCOR. Call ARCOR toll-free at 866-613-2519. That's 866-613-2519, or go to ADAgurus.com.
Save on dinner staples at Whole Foods Market. Get organic, air-chilled, boneless, skinless chicken breast for $7.99 a pound through May 24th, plus an extra 10% off for Prime members while supplies last. Learn more on the Whole Foods Market app.
As parents, we've done everything possible to protect our kids from COVID-19, from using hand sanitizers to masking up. But now we have the most important tool, vaccines. They help protect our children and the entire family. And it's okay to have questions. Ask your doctor about the COVID-19 vaccine for your child, or visit vaccinateall58.com to learn more and find a vaccine near you. Brought to you by the California Department of Public Health.
Spectrum Business always delivers fast and reliable internet for less. And now, new Spectrum Business customers get an added bonus. 8 weeks of local TV advertising worth $1,500 for free. So your business gets the best internet and $1,500 of free local TV advertising to bring in new customers. Visit Spectrum.com/reach and make the switch today. Spectrum Business. No nonsense. Just business. Restrictions apply. Call for details. American Vision Windows, SoCal's choice for energy-efficient windows and doors. AmericanVisionWindows.com.
KFI AM 640. The news, what it means, why it matters.
KFI AM 640 live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app. This is your wake-up call. I'm Jennifer Jones-Lee, and some of the stories we're watching in the KFI 24-hour newsroom. We're keeping an eye on what is happening now at Children's Hospital Los Angeles, because a lot of parents with sick kids say they've been forced to wait for hours. The hospital says the longer lines and wait times are due to more patients coming in with respiratory and viral diseases. That includes the flu. And the LA County Sheriff's Special Victims Bureau says it's looking for information about a teacher who's suspected of sexually abusing 2 girls at a middle school in Norwalk. So we'll follow up on those stories. But another big story we've been keeping an eye on is what the president did with the DPA yesterday to try and help with the production of infant formula. Karen Travers, good morning to you. Can you give us the details, please?
Yeah, this is the administration trying to address a crisis that's frankly been brewing for months and has really hit the headlines in the last couple of weeks. The president yesterday invoking the Defense Production Act, which is a 1950s law that empowers the federal government to order private companies to take actions that the government believes are in the national interest. This might be familiar to people because we saw former President Trump and then President Biden use this to address the COVID pandemic and shortages of ventilators and other supplies. But for this, the president is ordering companies that make some of the key ingredients in baby formulas to prioritize the orders that they're getting from formula companies. And that's an interesting way of doing this, because in the last couple of days, we've talked to a lot of people who are very skeptical that invoking the DPA could make a difference, because formula is a very specialized production. It's highly regulated. You can't just take a facility that's being used for something else and turn it into a baby formula making facility. But here, though, they're looking at the ingredients, and you can tell those companies, move this to the top of your list, get these ingredients out so that the formula companies have more in order to start to scale up production.
And this also had to do with the, flying in of formula as well?
Yeah, Operation Fly Formula. The president is directing the Pentagon to use commercial planes the Defense Department is already using to transport formula made overseas and approved for use here in the U.S. This is interesting because there's been a lot of push and pull and calls for the United States to relax some of the restrictions. You can't just go and buy formula from overseas and have it shipped here. You could try, but there are strict regulations, and a lot of the formula that's made there doesn't have approval here. But this is the Pentagon trying to speed up efforts to sort of bulk import, if you will, formulas that are approved that can be used here and get it here faster.
Okay, so that was going to be my question, because I would assume that, our regulations are going to be different than any other countries, and so then how would there be some sort of choke point where we get the formula here, but then it's got to get FDA authorization before it can hit the shelves?
Right.
But in this case, it wouldn't then. These would be pre-approved.
Stuff that is stuff that is already approved. And there are calls for some relaxing of some of the restrictions and regulations on importing. So if you were like, oh, I want to bring some stuff in from Ireland or France or wherever, you just can't do it. The stat we saw was like 98% of the formula that's consumed here in the U.S. is made here in the U.S. And that's obviously a good thing, but when you have an issue like this with supply chain issues and a plant that gets shut down, suddenly the government and manufacturers are scrambling to figure out how to increase the supply. And as we've seen, it hasn't gone very well. The supply is not back on shelves, and all indications are it's still going to take a couple of weeks before things are full again.
All right, Karen, thanks for the update. I appreciate it.
Have a great day.
You too. See you later. That's ABC's Karen Travers. So, it's good. It's good that things are, balls are rolling. That's always positive. But it's just going to take a couple of weeks. And so that's a couple more weeks that parents are going to have to, freak out, or they're stockpiling, or, and there was one mom, and I saw her on, it was just a clip, and she was saying something about, she admitted that she had stockpiled formula. And whoever the reporter was talking to her said something like, but there are other moms out there who don't have access to the formula. And she said, her comeback was, I have to feed my child. And so it's kind of sad that, there are parents who are feeling like they're in this, fight or flight kind of thing, where, like, I got to do whatever I have to feed my baby, and I'm going to do whatever I have to, even if it means that I'm not necessarily a good neighbor. And, I would hate to feel that desperation. Let's get back to some of these stories coming out of the KFI 24-hour newsroom. LA City Controller Ron Galperin says unused city lots could be a key to fighting homelessness.
Galperin says his office has identified 26 lots adding up to 1.7 million square feet of land that could be used to build housing and provide services. Now, most of these properties that I've identified have not been assessed previously by the city, but they are big enough. They are unused. They are vacant. Galperin says one of the lots is nearly 400,000 square feet alone. He says the number of people the lots could house depends on how the lots are used. He has called on city officials to build on the lots. In LA, Blake Trolley, KFI News.
Well, fewer Americans are applying for mortgages to buy homes. A report from the Mortgage Bankers Association says purchase applications fell 12% last week. Applications to refi current mortgages also dropped another 10%. The vice president of MBA says uncertainty about the economy and the stock market may have caused some to put buying a home on standby. And speaking of the stock market, holy cannoli, yesterday was bad. I believe it was the biggest drop for the Dow in 2 years. And I'd love to tell you that futures look like, oh, we're going to rebound. Nah, today I think we're going to have to sort of hold on for dear life and see if some more numbers don't pop out, and those popping out numbers might be a little eye-popping. So I'm going to follow up in your Biz Bites on that. There were a couple of stores specifically that had their earnings calls yesterday that were big stores that were big disappointments. So I'll tell you which ones they were. Police say a guy who was taking pictures with his cell phone of a bunch of women in bikinis near the Venice Beach Pier led to a brief beach brawl. One of the women told the man to stop taking pictures because there were minors in the group. A fight broke out after one of the women hit the guy. Police say one of the women now faces charges of battery. Russia says about 1,700 Ukrainian fighters at that steel plant in Mariupol have surrendered in the last 3 days. Russia adds that 771 of those fighters surrendered in the past 24 hours. Ukrainian officials say they cannot comment on the fate of the fighters because negotiations are underway to rescue them. So you've been holed up in a steel plant for 2 months. Then you have no choice but to surrender. and you don't know what's going to happen to you next. While you were in that plan, at least you thought, okay, with my conviction, I am fighting for my country. And now you've had to surrender to the enemy, and now you don't know what's going to happen to you? Health officials in Boston say they've been treating a patient for monkeypox. It's a rare virus usually found in West Africa. Massachusetts General Hospital Dr. Erica Shenoy says this patient has recently traveled only to Canada.
This spread is through both respiratory droplets with very close proximity, face-to-face respiratory droplets, but also direct contact with the lesions that have virus in them.
Now, she says this patient will continue contact tracing employees, patients, and visitors over the course of the next several days. WHO says at least 2 monkeypox infections also were discovered in the UK. Have you seen what monkeypox looks like? Imagine the worst, how about this? The worst wart that you've ever had on your body. But now there are a whole bunch of them. And they're kind of in clumps on your hands, on your chest, on your arms. Yeah, I'm looking at pictures right now. Okay, I'm closing that Google search. Don't do that before breakfast. Just don't. Hospitals in Southern California say they've admitted more COVID-19 patients. LA County's totals up another 36 people. Now got 363 people in the hospital, while in OC the total's up 23 to 112. Transmission of the virus has been on the rise over the last couple of months. Well, the Motion Picture Academy has gone back to its pre-COVID-19 rules on Oscar eligibility. So now it requires films to debut in theaters and not on a streaming service. The Academy also says films must be released between January 1st and December 31st to qualify for the following year's Oscar ceremony. Well, the founder of the famously failed Fire Festival, thank you, has been released from prison. His lawyer says he moved into a halfway house in New York yesterday. He was sentenced to 6 years in prison in 2018 for defrauding investors in the luxurious music festival, which was anything but. His lawyer says he is focused on repaying the nearly $26 million he owes in restitution. And if you've seen any of the Fire Festival documentaries on I think there was one on Netflix and one on Hulu. Oh my goodness. You know, and I was thinking about this. So this guy gets out of college, gets out of prison, and he's going to pay all this money back. He's kind of like the best hacker when it comes to PR I've ever seen. This guy could sell ice to somebody who lives in the Antarctic. He's amazing how good he is at convincing people what he's got going down is legit when he's got pretty much nothing to back it up. It's amazing. If you haven't watched the Fire Festival documentaries, it's entertaining as heck, and you're just wondering, what's going to happen to this guy? There's somebody out there who's going to employ this guy because they're going to say, you are so incredibly smarmy. People buy your snake oil, and they are so stoked to do it. I don't get it. It's the craziest thing. Federal charges against the former CEO of the Anaheim Chamber of Commerce allegedly involved a tight group of people who influenced city decisions. The FBI says Todd Ammett funneled money intended for the chamber through a personal account to buy a second home. Another federal corruption investigation that was revealed this week named the mayor of Anaheim. A lawyer for Ammett has not responded to a request to comment. The LA City Council has approved a nearly $12 billion budget for 2022-2023 fiscal year. The LAPD's chunk of the budget pie has increased to $3.2 billion. There's also funding for unarmed civilian units to respond to nonviolent 911 calls. The budget raises the amount spent on homelessness to $1.2 billion. The governor's office has appointed San Bernardino County Sheriff Shannon Dykes to the State Board of Corrections. Dykes says he supports helping the homeless avoid prison by getting them the help they need, but he also supports the rule of the law.
I will certainly make sure, first and foremost, that we're keeping the people that need to be in jail, and that we're protecting victims.
The 13-member board must include 2 sheriffs. Dykes says he was nominated by the California Sheriff's Association for a 2-year term. The sheriff must still be approved by the state Senate. City Controller Ron Galperin says LA owns 26 empty lots that could be used to fight homelessness. He urged city leaders yesterday to build on those lots. Well, it could be seen as a harmless campaign prank, but it's illegal everywhere.
LA County Sheriff candidate Matt Rodriguez says he wants to know who rearranged campaign signs to spell out the name of his opponent, current Sheriff Alex Villanueva. Rodriguez says dozens of his campaign signs were stolen and used to spell Alex on a chain-link fence in front of the Sheriff's Department's Monterey Park facility Sunday. Officials from that department say they know nothing about the signs, despite constant back and forth from deputies, a guard shack near street level, and security cameras mounted high above the area. Theft or vandalism of political signs is illegal in all 50 states. Michael Trozier, KFI News.
If there are cameras, somebody knows something. Well, the cast of Stranger Things says its latest season might be too scary for young kids. Actor Joe Keery, who plays Steve, says kids will be scared and have nightmares. There you go. Go have your kids watch that. Cast members of the sci-fi series based in the 80s say they were surprised at how many gruesome scenes there were in season 4. The first episode arrived on Netflix May 27th. The final episode of the season drops July 1st. Well, there's a pregnant TikToker in LA who gets to deliver her baby twice. The mom-to-be says she learned her baby had a spinal cord problem in 19 weeks, so she found a medical team in Orlando that performs open fetal surgery. So she says the doctors took out the baby, repaired the defect, and then put him back inside her womb so she could carry him to term. She says the baby will continue to grow for the next 11 weeks, and she is documenting her experience on TikTok. Fascinating. Fascinating. That's crazy. Sir Elton John is ending his tour in a very cinematic way. Disney Plus announced yesterday the name of John's upcoming documentary, Goodbye Yellow Brick Road, the final Elton John performances and the years that made him a legend. It will end with his final concert at Dodger Stadium in LA in November. The last time John performed at a baseball park was in 1975. When he famously wore that sequined Dodgers uniform. All right, we come back. I'll tell you why Tesla got the boot from the S&P. We'll talk about the stock market yesterday, which was bleh. Also, Meta seems to be putting the brakes on some of its everyday practices, and Disney has a very specific new line of clothing coming out. Nick Palliocchini, you might like this one, I'm just saying, so stick around for that. Right now, though, let's see what's up on the drive in the 215.
Definitely look forward to that one, Jen. It's not a great drive right now on the 215 northbound in Riverside past Columbia. It is all northbound lanes that are shut down due to a fatality crash investigation and a car fire. Cleanup work does continue. Again, 215 north past Columbia, all northbound lanes are shut down. You're being taken off at Columbia. The easiest way to get around this would be coming off the 60 in Moreno Valley, take Paris Boulevard, which becomes Ricci Vista, and then Ricci Canyon. Heading northbound, that'll definitely save you a bit of time. Or the westbound, if you need to make your way back to the 91, hop off the 215 north at Alessandro. That becomes central as you make your way toward the Riverside area. KFI and the Sky helps get you there faster. I'm Nick Palliocchini.
If you've listened to Handle on the Law for any length of time, you'll notice that I have never recommended a lemon law lawyer. Never found one I'm comfortable with, until now. So let me introduce you to the Knight Law Group. If you've bought or leased a car and gone back repeatedly for a car repair to no avail, you may have a lemon on your hands. And you have rights under the California lemon law. Every year, car manufacturers produce and sell cars that have real problems, and you're stuck with them. Well, you can actually do something about it now. Call the Knight Law Group. They can help you get rid of your lemon and get your money back. And you don't pay anything out of pocket. Call for a free consultation. Call the Knight Law Group at 844-43-LEMON, 844-43-LEMON, or visit knightlaw.com. That's Knight with a K. knightlaw.com.
Paid spokesperson. Every case is different. Results vary. Courtesy of Roger Kiernos, Knight Law Group, LLP.
This report is sponsored by SaveOurWater.com. A little mulch goes a long way. Mulch reduces evaporation and saves water. Use it especially around your plants or trees. Visit SaveOurWater.com for more water-saving tips. That's SaveOurWater.com. Let's all do our part. Save water. Save California.
Hey, this is Lincoln Kennedy, three-time Pro Bowler. Here's what's trending on the iHeart Sports Network.
Presented by Blindster. The Dodgers finished their four-game sweep of the D-backs thanks to a 4-1 fourth inning. They won 5 straight and hit the road tomorrow to take on the Phillies. The Angels forced extras thanks to Jared Walsh's ninth inning blast, but were swept by the Rangers to wrap up their road trip. They host the A's tomorrow. And the Chargers broke ground on their new El Segundo headquarters yesterday. It's slated for completion in the summer of 2024. I'm Misty Jordan.
Need new blinds or shades? Blindster.com offers custom-made blinds, shades, and shutters shipped directly to you at prices less than big box retailers. Blindster blinds are easy to install and guaranteed to fit. And right now, save 45% off any order. Just use code RADIO at checkout. Blindster.com.
I never appreciated what I had growing up. In short, I was an ingrate. Hello, I'm Don Acumin, founder of Rooter Hero Plumbing. I used to take everything for granted. I assumed my father would live forever. He didn't. When I only got one Christmas gift, I threw a tantrum. And when things didn't go my way, I wasn't pleasant to be around. Today, I keep a gratitude journal. I'm grateful for my family for the love they give me, my successes, and my failures for the lessons they teach me. I'm also grateful for my team for the 5-star service they provide our customers. Spring is a time of rebirth. Rooter Hero encourages you to show gratitude this month and watch your life filled to the brim with joy. One other thing I'm grateful for is you, our customer. As usual, Rooter Hero Plumbing will cable your drain for only $77. Call Rooter Hero Plumbing at 866-DRAIN-77. That's 866-DRAIN-77. Thank you.
Yeah, 102-8886.
On the new true crime podcast Betrayal, a woman chronicles her fairy tale romance gone horribly wrong. Her husband's secret life destroyed their marriage, shook their community, and ultimately sent him to prison.
Going through Spence's emails, Snapchat, whatever I could get my hands on. Just a punch in the gut every single time.
Listen to Betrayal on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts. Brought to you by DuckDuckGo. Protect your privacy online for free with DuckDuckGo.
We've got your new AC and we're ready to install it. Kenny anticipated those supply chain problems and built a bunch of new ghetto systems before the prices jumped up.
Buy a new Gettle today, and we'll install it tomorrow.
Gettle, G-O-E-T-T-L.
If your business has 5 or more employees and you manage to survive COVID, you're eligible to receive a payroll tax rebate of $26,000 per employee. And this is not a loan. It's yours. The challenge is getting your hands on it. How do you cut through the red tape? How does your business get the money? Go to getrefunds.com. They're specialists in this little-known payroll tax refund program, and they do all the work. No charge up front. They share a percentage of the cash they get for you. Businesses of all types can qualify, including those who took PPP money, nonprofits, even those that had increases in sales. They got my business a 6-figure refund, and their average client gets $250,000 back. Go to getrefunds.com, click on the Qualify Me button, answer a few questions, they do the rest. Getrefunds.com, getrefunds.com.
Widespread racism against the Asian American and Pacific Islander community is a serious and devastating issue that is impacting the lives of millions every day. It's up to all of us to stand up, speak out, and put an end to this racism. Stop AAPI Hate is a national coalition that tracks incidents of hate and discrimination against the AAPI community.